Sgùrr Alasdair has been on my list for a while. On paper, it doesn't look anything too tough. 9.5 kilometres, just under 1,000 metres of ascent, and about a 5 to 6 hour expected hike time. However, there's one section of the hill that changes the ball game quite a bit, but we'll come to that later. The main reason I wanted to do it was the ridges at the top. It's the highest peak on Skye, and the sharp ridges going off in all directions at the top make for fantastic views. I wasn't sure if there were going to be space to camp up at the top. I expected there to be a small section from the looks of some photos for a bivvy, so I packed up my stuff and headed off with the intention of staying overnight. There's quite a lot of streams and a few waterfalls on your way up, so this first one caught my eye and served as a nice wee break as well. On watching this, I'd probably say the best angle is actually the one that I set my phone up to record the video, but never mind. Just lined up the motion of the water going across from the screen, just leading you up to the peak itself. It's nothing special, it's an okay photo, I don't mind it. I feel it would definitely be a very nice nighttime composition if you had a clear night, the stars up above. If possible, the Milky Way, that would be an absolute beautiful shot, so probably try and get that done at some point during the winter. It's also not too far to actually hike up to this section. Anyway, with the legs refreshed, we carried on up. Pretty much all of this hike is on stones, rocks, boulders, so it's pretty firm ground underfoot. You do have quite a bit of scrambling even at the lower end bits, so just be expecting to have to use your hands and your feet. It's always just as you finish climbing up a section, you turn around and see that there was an alternate path that was significantly easier, but sometimes it's just about having fun. This body of water kind of marks the start of the tough part of the hike, I would say. Up ahead is the infamous stone chute, where it's very much one step forward, two steps back. I'd heard a lot of bad things about it, just regarding the effort it takes to cover such a small distance. So not much more to do than to get some music on and just fire up and get it done. It's definitely a testing section. No matter what you try, you will just slide down with every step. So it's entertaining at the start, but it definitely wears on you, and it's a bit of a false peak. There's a section further up where the colour changes and it gets a lot darker, and from the bottom it looks like that's the start of actual ground. It's not. That part is probably worse as far as trying to make progress on. Overall, I think it took me about an hour and 15 minutes with the big pack on, which I think is probably about average. It definitely warrants a bit of care and attention on this ascent. You need to make sure you're not going to cause any larger stones to come down sliding onto your feet, and also if there were people with you or other hikers, you're going to need to be aware of falling stones. Making it to the very small plateau where I was going to set up the bivvy, the sun started to just lighten up the clouds that were coming through the valley. I didn't really have much time to prepare as I knew the clouds were constantly moving.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bah! Bah!
The combination of the clouds and the sun was creating a full circular rainbow, which if you look up is actually called a glory, which I've just learnt. So it was really nice, just the sun bursting through that glory's hole, and I just couldn't help but stare into that glory hole, just wondering what was going to come out of it. Always going to be a good thing no matter what. Luckily enough, it hung about for a wee while, so once I'd gotten a few safety shots, just to make sure I had something to take home, I switched out to the wide angle lens and just found this wee bit of vegetation in amongst the rocks, which I quite liked the contrast between that, the rocks, and then obviously that beautiful glory hole just in the background. I stepped into f22 just to get as much as I could in focus with one shot. Obviously I couldn't spend all day at that glory hole, I'd just ended up an excited sticky mess. So the clouds moved in and forced me away, and I decided to ascend up to the final ridge. I'm usually quite comfortable on the peaks of hills, no issues jumping about on the rocks or anything. However, I've got to admit, with the fairly strong wind and how narrow the ridge was, I did feel quite uneasy. So I generally just stayed in one place and resorted to the zoom lens just to capture a couple of distant photos with that sun and the clouds rolling over the surrounding hills. The clouds really moved in and blocked that sunset completely. I was happy enough with the shots I'd got off, and of course that beautiful glory hole was just fantastic. So I decided against camping. I knew I could be back down in the car in about an hour and a half, so I thought I'll just head back up the road. The forecast for the sunset had changed and was very unlikely, which, while driving home, did prove to be right. There was absolutely nothing to be seen from the wasted hike. I was really happy with some of the photos that I got, and even carrying the extra weight, I just view it as good training for the legs anyway. I now know that there is a spot that I'll be able to bivvy down, and also it's a hike that I definitely wouldn't be taking any dogs on at any point either. The descent, albeit is nice and quick, it's still definitely a bit risky. The loose stones underfoot call for a bit of care to be taken, but one step does turn into about 3 without even trying, so that was nice. Anyway, we'll wrap this up. Hope you enjoyed the video. Any feedback's always appreciated. A like and a subscription goes a long way for me trying to grow this channel. You can find me on Instagram at 4pads as well, the links down in the description.